Oh, could you actually talk really quick? I just want to check.
Hello, hello, test, test.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Cool. So is it playing?
Sorry, I was just fixing my recording. Give
Oh
me
yeah,
one
take
second.
your time.
Okay, yeah, I'm good to go. I'm on 0 seconds.
Cool. Um, so I don't really like the first thing that happens, just because I feel like I don't know if I think we might have talked about like starting moves before, but I
Yeah,
kind of have it's kind of like a chess thing where it's like the start is kind of set. So like if you end up in a bad position at the start of the match, it's kind of like generally your fault. You know what I mean?
yeah, that makes sense.
So it's like unless you're taking so if you're taking a risk and you get hit, that's okay. But if you didn't even take a risk and you get hit in the first second, I feel like that's kind of a big deal, you know?
Yeah,
Because like it's not like you took a risk to hit him and you were wrong. You did something that wasn't even going to help you, and you still kind of got hit.
got it. Is this more? Well, I guess it's like both.
What were
Then,
you going to say?
just clarifying. It's like first of all, I went down without an attack and just immediately shielded. And then the other thing is like this needle is slowing down the pace at which I do that.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of both. And it's like the needle wasn't great, but even given that you needled, that's kind of okay if you play the next situation well.
Right.
I actually recommend on Fountain, I actually like dashing and full hopping towards the top platform.
Okay.
The two starts I would do are essentially get to the ground as fast as possible and look for power shields or some sort of full hop needles, or I recommend going towards top platform.
Got it.
Hopefully those are intuitive to you.
Uh,
Um,
I never go top platform actually. What are your thoughts there?
okay, so it's specifically good versus Falco because a lot of the initial laser interactions you can avoid by being on the top.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not something I would do in any matchup besides the Falco matchup.
Okay.
Um, but there's like a bunch of laser mix-ups, and you can interact with them directly if you want. And if you win, it's great. But if you lose, it kind of sucks. So I feel like a more consistent option is to go to top platform, and it's actually stage dependent. I think on certain stages, I'm much more likely to do it, and it depends on which spawn position I am. So, for example, it's kind of hard to say, but essentially just think about like how he can laser, because he can do the short hop off double lasers. He can laser in place, stuff like that. You know.
Right. Right.
But more importantly, even outside of the first laser, you kind of just fall down, shield, and then like let go of shield. So it's like at least if you're gonna shield, you should continue to hold it most likely.
Right. Right.
So simple things like that. And
Yeah.
then I think just from hearing how you described it, and even seeing from the messages, and even just seeing the first couple seconds, I strongly suspect that your defense is a weak point.
Yeah. Definitely.
So how about we kind of focus on some micro interaction stuff, honestly. Um,
Yeah, that sounds good to
More
me.
so than the macro game plan. So, like, for example, did you notice that when he dared you, you got popped up?
Yeah.
So, do you know why that happens?
No, I don't.
Okay, so it's like he dared you out of the bounce.
Got it. So like, does that mean basically I'm in the air?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, you're actually in the air. And depending on, like, I think if he delayed it longer, it could have worked out okay. But this particular timing, the dare always will pop you up.
Got it.
So, like, if you had known that, you might have been able to act immediately, for example.
Got it.
A simple thing could have been you could have jabbed, and that might have messed up his shine timing. You could have maybe done an immediate down smash. You could have ran off the side of the platform. You could have shielded and then immediately shield dropped. Simple thing.
Right. Right.
Similar thing here, where like he dares you again out of the air, the second down air, and then if you were ready, you actually could have probably grabbed him.
Got it. Yep.
Not that I expect you to grab. The roll away was probably pretty good, just as a general safe option.
Okay.
But just food for thought.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. I actually think this was a pretty good option. And I like the fairs. I like this fair. I really don't like that you went for a grab there.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
The fair grab just doesn't really combo if they're on the ground at this percent.
Yeah, definitely.
So things I think but like maybe didn't internalize very well.
Sure.
Interesting though that after the grab, do you think you could have shielded before he dared?
Let me see this. Yeah, I think so.
I think so, right?
Yeah.
I kind of think so too. So this concerns me that you wouldn't be holding shield here for, I think, clear reasons if we're watching.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, as a general thing, yeah, when I play a lot of people, they're very, it's very evident that immediately after they whiff attack, they think of the next defensive option. Um, I think I do that sometimes, right? But I don't think as like a, it's not a very well-oiled machine for me.
Okay, okay. So it's not like ingrained in you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that'll be important, especially versus Falco, because like you're just eating, you kind of eat crap from Falco for stuff like this. Like it's really hard to fight Falco when this stuff happens.
Right.
So easy to get beat up. So you actually get the edge from him because he does a terrible way of grabbing the ledge.
Sure.
But I think you reacted poorly to it. And I think these little things matter a lot. So like if this were a Fox, I would understand. But since it's Falco, you just drop off with a weak back air, and he can't tech it, and then he's just dead, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Drop off weak bear, double jump weak bear, up B to ledge, probably kills him.
Right.
I just think having this awareness and knowledge ready to go is like extremely important. Probably could have narrowed out a shield on that downer. Let's look at it.
Yeah.
Look at this next downer he hits your shield with.
Yeah, it's pretty early.
Yeah, I would say it's reasonable to narrow out a shield. So, all these little things is like he's getting very high value from things that like are not totally safe or whatever.
Right, right.
Okay. Timing. Oh no. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
So, I mean, obviously, you messed up, whatever. But yeah. I feel like, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, but something I often talk about is that top players are really good at not messing up because they never try to be more perfect than they have to be.
Okay, yeah.
Or at least a lot of top players don't mess up because of this. So, like, in a situation like this, I would have clearly waited for all the fair lag to end, double jumped, confirmed that I got the double jump way after the fair lag ended, and then up B, because this wasn't a very, like, tight window to live, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
This was, like, a very easy one, as long as you made sure to hit the double jump. But to me, it looks like you tried to, like, time it perfectly and you missed it, right?
Yeah, I was just going for the, what's it called? I don't know, that, like, turnaround, like, sweet spot.
Yeah, which you also didn't need.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I actually think you might need it sometimes, but definitely not here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just like, obviously you just messed up, but I think it's important to not mess up.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of spots also where you've been able to position decently, and you get him into a spot where your bear is really strong, and you don't really seem to consider back airing. So let me give you 2 sample spots of this.
Sure.
And see if that makes sense. So right here, for example, do you see how you're on the left, and he's perfectly at that back air angle?
Right, yeah.
And then again, look where you full hop, and you end up double jumping back into the corner, which I don't like a lot. I don't like it all, actually. And especially you could have maybe full drifted to the right, or leveraged the top platform in some way, like wave landed on, and then had that bear angle. But does that make sense that when you full hop to the right, you might be able to kind of work that back air somehow?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think in general, back air is extremely important versus Falco because it's your only aerial that. So like in general with Sheik versus every character, if you're at a spot where you can bear successfully, and they're above you, no character can win that interaction, just because of how good Sheik's bear is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you want to leverage that a lot, and because Falco's a matchup where there's a lot of vertical play on both sides. Kind of how good you are at leveraging that back air angle is a large part of being good at the match.
Right.
So that's like a small note to kind of take into account. Okay. Yeah, so there, it was a good attempt, but you didn't really space it well. Nice. So I also have a distinct thought that for Sheik to fight Falco well, she needs to kind of run away from him a lot.
Okay.
Does that intuitively line up with how you feel or not really?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I feel like I'm at the breaking point as far as like Falco skill level where that matters.
Mm-hmm.
There are like 3 Falcos that I consistently run into. Um, and like they're all pretty like laser heavy, kind of defensive, like mid-level players.
Okay.
Like they don't know how to use their hitboxes yet, or mix up their hitboxes in a way where it's threatening. So I can like, kind of chill back, wave dash back. They'll do enough repetitive things that if I just like play on the platforms loosely, but then like just read some lasers, eventually I'll get in.
Mm-hmm.
This feels completely different, right? And yeah, I think in this case I need to think about that. Yeah, it's interesting. Like one thing to note, like getting these stray back airs, right? And also just like defending and spending the majority of my time repositioning and punishing like bad pressure. I think that's probably what this matchup looks like.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think like I'm really trying to approach playing waffles like not like that, as though I have more control.
Yeah. So it's your job as Sheik to make yourself very hard to hit until you can establish something more advantageous.
Yeah.
That's kind of true in every Sheik matchup, if you think about it. But the degree to which you need to avoid interaction and changes from matchup to matchup.
Yeah.
I feel like versus Falco, it's very explicitly important that you just avoid interacting at all in any situation where he has a clear advantage.
Right. Yeah, I guess
which is not universally true, but versus Falco, it's extremely true.
Yeah. I think defining what those situations are would be really important throughout this lesson.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But it's pretty much like all the situations you found yourself in, you could have played them better, but I don't think you should have had to be in those spots.
Okay. Yeah.
This involves a lot more like dashing away, using platforms, bull hopping away, making it so that he has to really chase you if he wants to play like this.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
I was actually fighting Falco just this minute ago with one of our local players. He's at my house, and we were playing, and there was a part where I felt like I was just camping him for like a full 40 seconds, and he just couldn't catch me, and I was like, hell yeah, this is great. Like, just being super evasive and like making yourself super hard to hit until you can engage favorably is just like very essential.
Definitely.
Let's keep going. I've actually given a lot of Sheik Falco specific lessons, and I actually have a lot of things to talk about that I haven't yet. But I kind of want to see what you do before I go into the here's how we generally play the matchup.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, so again, it's like this isn't a very good start, and then you kind of just run up power shield and try to force something to happen, and it just doesn't happen.
Right.
I mean, you could have power shield grabbed, but who knows how that could have gone wrong too, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, this is okay. This is okay. But a lot of this is you're facing forward, which I don't really like. Again, on average, I prefer to face backwards in any situation based on that.
Against Falco, right?
Yeah. And again, see here, you're like turning to face him. And like, for example, when he gets himself out of the corner, you see he jumps. And there's no way for you to challenge that if you're not facing backward.
Right.
Back air. See, look how beautiful that back air is. It's like he literally can't do anything about the air. You know what I mean?
Right.
But look at that previous spot where he full jumps over you right here. There's literally nothing you can do facing forward. Like
Right.
you have zero options there,
Right.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. Even there, right? So you try to force a fight, it doesn't really, pan out. But the thing is, it's not going to. At no point will it pan out unless you just like absurdly outplay them, which is obviously not reliable.
Right.
I actually have a great example of this. There's a plup set that I use to reference a lot of stuff.
Sure.
And the funny part is he's fighting this Falco that's like, he's capable of 3 and 4 stocking this player very consistently, no problems at all. Falco's very bad.
Sure.
But you'll note that every time this Falco, who's so much worse than Plop, like you would, even if you played him, you would just destroy him. He's not good at all. But when they're in up close interactions, he beats Plop a ton. And I think that says a lot about the matchup. Plop, who's someone who's generally very good at micro interaction, is losing tons of interactions to probably some guy who goes like 1 and 2 at any tournament.
Right.
And I feel like, again, that says just a lot about the nature of the matchup.
Yeah, it's nice to calibrate.
Nice. Okay. Okay, let's see how you avoid him. So I feel like you did a very poor job avoiding him.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you dropped into the spot where the threat range is. So I want you to watch this again, visualizing where the weak spots and what Falco can cover are. So here's where I'd be thinking about maybe staying on the side platform until I found a way to jump to the top platform safely. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, you're running. Again, you kind of try to... Do you see how, like, no matter how you approach these interactions, like, you just lose them because there's just too much to think, there's too much to account for that she can't. Now, for example, something good you could do is instead of this short hop out of shield, maybe you could have full hopped.
Right, right.
Because if you full hop, you can threaten needles at his current position, but if he approaches, you can do things like full hop and drift backwards, and then leverage your needle or fair, or you can full hop and drift forwards, and if he goes too far under you, you can bear him. Or you can full hop, realize it's a bad situation, and double jump wave line to the top platform.
Right.
Makes sense?
Yep.
But by short hopping, you're kind of just betting that, like, it's going to work out somehow, and that's pretty unreliable. Now, there are spots where short hopping out of shield is good versus Falco, but that's generally spots where you're confident you're going to short hop over a laser based on the timing of the situation, or it's also spots where he has more percent on him, and it's, like, good to take the risks because of the potential reward,
Got it.
Yeah, like, again, here, you just kind of jump when you're right next to him, right? Look at this.
Yep.
So you whiff grab and you jump. And to me, it's like, okay, you whiff grab, he's right next to you. I would have dashed away or something, or full hopped.
Got it. Got it.
But I certainly wouldn't be, short hopping right next to you. I also feel like did you notice how, like, you wave dashed away from an F smash and you can punish it?
Let's see it.
Yeah, watch and tell me if you noticed that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's like a lot of things like this where, like, you need to be kind of very engaged in the micro interactions because so much of the match versus Falco happens in these up close interactions.
Definitely.
Nice. Nice. I think if you'd reacted better, you could have punished that side B. This is a situation where, like, me or Plup would have got this 100%.
Sure.
So, like, look at this. You jump to needle, but you see the side B startup. I would have needle cancel fast fell and then ran and boost grabbed him.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the reaction makes sense. The boost grab seems pretty tight.
Yeah, it would have been tight, but it probably would have worked.
Okay.
Of course, this is net play, so I don't know how hard that would have been, but I also think this reminds me a lot of the F smash situation, where it's like, you've kind of already decided what you're going to do, and I know it's hard, but, like, these micro interactions, Sheik is actually quite good at avoiding a lot of the Falco stuff, but if you don't do anything once you avoid it, it's kind of like you net zero advantage,
Right.
And to me, that side B was actually very similar to the F smash in concept. So this was good. You stayed out of range. I like this. I think in general, though, you seem very unwilling to full hop for some reason, but full hopping is, like, extremely good versus Falco.
Yeah.
And I hope it makes sense why it's good.
Yeah, I think it's very difficult for Falco to punish a full hop. I think.
Yeah, right? Like, what's he going to do about it?
Right. Like, the only situation where it matters... Like, yeah, punishing the away DI is really hard because realistically I'll be set up for either a needle or back air, depending on how I'm facing.
Yeah, then, oh, you mean like the away drift?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
And then, yeah, same thing. Like, if I go up, he has to, like, do a very hard commitment of, like, I'm going to do this full hop back air, so I could just realistically escape.
Also, you don't buffer roll much when he hits your shield, but, like, rolling is very, very good versus Falco. Nice reaction. See, this was sick. You were, like, very present. You avoided him. And I don't think he did a very good roll,
Right.
but like you reacted so quickly to it.
Right.
That was actually really impressive. And I feel like it's interesting because I don't feel like you really read that roll,
Yeah, I think it's like God, I I just spent a majority of this whole session being very upset with how good Falco's hitboxes are.
Oh
So
yeah,
so I think
they are.
yeah, I just think like whenever he does an aerial or a attack, I was shook enough and generally speaking don't know enough or I'm not comfortable enough with like the lag that I'm going to punish those less often than I punish like bad movement.
That makes sense. But even things like the F smash, you were like so not confident in dealing with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like this roll was absurdly hard to punish. I honestly don't even know if I would have punished it. I feel pretty good about reacting. So I think this is interesting that like it seems like you're just not able to stay mentally present the whole time. But like when you were able to react insanely well. Which I think that means if you just played more like this in general. And it's so funny because what does this come off of? It comes off like the double jump, being out of his vertical plane,
Right, right.
And I think that's where, you could have landed back on the platform, you could have fast fell back through it. And I definitely think you're just very slow in these up. Oh, see, again, you full hopped and look what happened.
Right, right.
Look, he comes in the corner, you full hop, you wave land, and then look, you kind of get center. You move very slowly though, and I think you do a badly spaced back air. But like, do you see how valuable that position was?
Yeah, definitely.
And compare that to what you're doing before, which is just like getting chased around by aerials. It's like you're not making it hard for him to catch you.
Got it.
Or even when you do move out of the way, you move out of the way very slowly, I think.
Right, right. Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking like before. I think I do short hop a lot out of like the pressure. It's a lot like against a lot of other people who don't use their hitbox as well or are predictable out of like attack. It's super valuable, but in this game where we're kind of like agreeing that I'm unable to gain speed or advantage by just resetting with a jump. That the full hop is like probably one of the only ways to gain speed. Playing the high low kind of Falco's bad at double jumping game.
Yep. I think you actually do a great sequence in just a second on the left side, and I want you to watch it. You end up dash attacking, which I think was very bad, but everything else about the sequence was beautiful. So move over here on the left.
Yep.
So you're about to go full hop, dash dance, shield drop, and then run under him.
Right.
And that's perfect. It's like you avoid him, you make it ambiguous what you're going to do, you protect yourself, he tries to overextend and catch you, it doesn't work. You run back, and if you had just ran under him to center, you could have ran under and threatened a short hop or full hop bear, right?
Right.
And the best part of that is you don't have to bear. You can just take the center, look like you're going to bear, and then leverage that.
Right.
Nice. See, again, it's so funny because even when you're not relying on it, every time you do it, it works great. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
There's yet to be a time where you full hopped and I go, oh, wow, look how badly this went. It's been nothing but, yep, this is way better than what was happening before,
Right.
I think that, and it is great. That's one of my favorite things is that I can make some generalization and inevitably the gameplay proves me to be right. I don't even have to support it through argument. It's just like, it speaks for itself,
Right. Yeah.
And this happens very consistently. It's funny because the Sheik Falco set of Plup that I usually use as a reference, I actually found it after giving this very long talk about what I think Sheik should do. And without me even knowing about the set, I just picked one at random. He exactly did what I said he would, which again, I think speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So let's take this moment to kind of talk more generally, and we can talk about the rest of the set later.
Yeah, definitely.
So in general, Sheik versus Falco, what should you do? So I think that a big thing in Sheik Falco is that it's hard to maintain initiative with Sheik, if that kind of makes sense.
I guess it's like advantage, I guess.
Yeah, it's like Falco's kind of always got the, he's got the jump on you, and it's like hard to really force anything for him,
Yeah, definitely.
So what do you do about that? And I think what Sheik has to do is she has to do something to actually create an advantage,
Yeah.
So one way to do that is, for example, let's say you needle him, right?
Right.
Wait, actually, give me like 1 minute and then I'll continue.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm back. So anyway, so do you see why needles are a good way to accomplish this?
Um, yeah, I mean, other than the fact like they're safe and they're gonna create some sort of lag with them.
Yeah, so it's a disruption essentially.
Right.
So disrupting what Falco is doing is a very important part of creating some sort of finish.
Okay.
Can you think of another easy way to like disrupt what he's doing or make him stop for a second?
Um, I think power shielding lasers.
Yeah, exactly. Power shield is definitely the exact right answer. So power shielding, right? And
Right.
it's not that the power shield just results in you hitting him, but it's just like it makes him stop for even a brief moment. It makes him play differently. It makes him get hit by a laser, you know?
Right.
So power shielding and needles are probably your two biggest ways to disrupt him.
Right.
So they're both very, very important, I think, to theoretically playing this matchup well. The last thing that I think you should be doing is using platforms, because I think platforms allow you to essentially create pseudo advantage where you don't have it. Because let's say he's lasering and you're on the ground shielding or getting hit by lasers. In order to move forward, you have to take the laser first and then do something, right?
Right.
But if you're on a platform, once he shoots the laser, you can go to the ground, and it's like you get to move forward afterwards without having to deal with the first laser. There's still another laser coming, but you make up for that little difference by not having to actually block or get hit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think these three things are very, very core to a fighting Falcon. Using platforms, power shielding, needling, all together allow you to create some sort of disruption to the situation.
Right.
So that's kind of the general outline. Outside of that, I think it involves a lot of, like you said, repositioning, a lot of leveraging, staying out of his threat range until you can accomplish one of these tasks. And
Right.
essentially, if you don't accomplish one of these tasks before you engage, you're pretty much just rolling the dice,
Right. Right.
which is generally not favorable. Sometimes it is, though, don't get me wrong. But as a general rule, it will not be favorable to roll the dice versus Falco without, creating some sort of...
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I actually have, let me find this for you. We don't have to watch this, but so all my VODs from my stream are deleted by now, unfortunately. But someone actually uploaded this. I don't know who. Let me link it. And it's me playing Sheik versus Sleepy's Falco for like several hours. And I think I'm very, very good at Sheik Falco. So that's something that you can maybe reference in the future if you ever are like, hey, I want some VODs. And sometimes it's hard to find good tournament VODs with players.
Got it.
So I linked it in the current lesson VOD. You can just kind of have that. And if you ever have questions about it, it's easy to ask me, etc.
Yeah.
But
Will
so there's
do.
some good Sheik Falco in there for sure. But even outside of that, I'm going to pull up the Plup set. There's actually two Plup things I normally make people watch.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is watch Plup versus S2J's Falco, actually.
Okay.
I remember the reason I bring this up is because at CEO 2017, I actually commentated at this tournament. And
Sure.
one of the things I did is I remember actually commentating this set and feeling like Plup definitely played the matchup really well. And that was something that made me really happy. So I was like, oh, look, Plup's playing the matchup really well. So I remembered it and I brought it up in a lesson, and it ended up being a really good reference.
Great.
So
Two questions real quick.
go for it.
Yeah, so I've been recently trying to kind of refactor how I practice. I've been grinding a lot of tournaments right now, and it's gotten me from like rusty mid-level to like kind of, like average, I guess, maybe slightly
Sure.
above average. Definitely kind of a waste of time at this point, especially like because I'm unwilling to experiment in tournament sets as much, and I'm
Of
playing
course.
playing tournaments like 3 days a week, so like there really is no
Yeah, I
time.
do not think that's valuable, really.
Yeah. So it's definitely starting to feel like trash. But I heard that on your old streams, like something I've been trying to convince people to do, and like no one's willing to do, is to like actually play, have a whiteboard, have 20xx set up, and then pause like all the fucking time. Which I hear is like kind of how you play friendlies, or how you play friendlies on your stream at least.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I do sometimes. Like, I had a lesson with Yort, who's a really good Falco player from Georgia, and he came over in real life for it. And
Yeah.
the way he wanted to do the lesson was literally like, he asked me to play him, and then anytime I saw something worth talking about, I would just pause.
Yeah. Do you have any like good examples of? Well, I know you I've heard that you'll like pause to do the 20xx like just lab out stuff. Are there any VODs of that?
I actually have no clue, unfortunately.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you. But I do think that talking while playing friendlies is really useful for learning.
Okay. Yeah.
People should definitely do it more. I mean, you know, your objective of playing friendly should not just be to grind melee for fun for 8 hours and be like, well, we didn't learn anything.
Right, right.
Do you have particular thoughts or questions about it, though?
I'm more curious about like the 20xx stuff. I don't know.
I don't really have, like, do you have any examples of 20xx stuff that you're curious about?
Not exactly. I don't think it's like a fully formed thought. It's just like it's very interesting. I'm so much more willing to flex my thinking muscles when we're in a lesson as opposed to like when I'm playing. But a lot of it's kind of just like the social like no one wants to do that pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of tricky because like a lot of my experience playing friendlies is that like everyone knows me as the better player already.
Right.
So a lot of the time, if I stop to point something out to someone, they're very receptive to it.
Right, right.
And I know that's not always the case, but I think you can probably find a good set of players to play with. In any region, there are players who are probably like more willing to talk about stuff if you know kind of ask or bring it up.
Yeah, I think I need to just go for it and see how it goes.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think if everyone can put their ego aside and understand that everyone's just trying to get better, it's really easy.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it doesn't always go that way, but
right.
We're out here trying. People will be receptive because you know we all do want to get better.
Right.
But yeah, do you have anything else before we start watching this?
No. Let me just open it up.
Cool.
It's that second my circle, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Cool. So, SCJ tries Falco, gets absolutely fucked. It's great. So, try to keep in mind all the rules we talked about as we watch this, okay?
Yeah.
So immediately, what does Plup do?
I couldn't even. Yeah, he runs off, but then. Oh wait, what the hell?
So we don't know the literal first thing, but from when we can see.
Yeah, he just runs up and he does a reverse needle, kind of sets himself up for a back air, but then bails out after the laser to go platform.
So why does he bail out?
I think he was like kind of in a bad spot to do a back air. Like he would have landed right on top of him.
Because he saw where SCJ was and he recognized SCJ could move forward, right?
Yep.
The cool part of this is that if Plup didn't want to bail out, he could have needle canceled and then full drifted to the right or to the left and then force some sort of mix-up.
Right.
If he'd wanted to. SCJ actually backs off, and then Plup gets the top platform. And see how Plup hasn't really dealt with SCJ, but at the same time, SCJ hasn't really been able to interact meaningfully with him.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And then what does Plup do? On the top platform, he moves out of threat range, leverages back air, right?
Right.
And then see, SCJ is like, okay, well, I'm still going to chase you down, you know. Plup uses Sheik's speed, you know, pretty well to move out of the way. And, you know, it's hard for Falco to catch you, largely because you get to leverage your range in the first place. Because the bear is so big that you can just drift all the way away, and it's like, what's he going to do, right?
Yeah, and you, like, really slowed him down.
Yep. And, of course, actually, SCJ had something much better he could have done. He could have shield dropped laser Plup and then been at advantage. So it's not even like this is objectively an advantage. But it's clear that you at least avoid the standard stuff, you know?
Right.
So pretty good punish. And then let's look what he does here. So punish ends. Immediately, where does Plup go as soon as the punish is over?
Let's see. Oh yeah, it goes back to the platform.
Goes immediately to the platform, right? Not even a second thought. Goes straight there, comes down, doesn't work out when he engages, and then what does he try to do in neutral immediately?
Let's see. He just tries to take or power shield. Yeah.
Yeah, he tries to power shield. He fails it, but I'm glad you could tell it was an attempted power shield, right?
Right.
Another thing about how Plup forces it is he chose to force it in a situation where Sheik's at 0, Falco's at 64. So even if it's a weak nair, Falco can't meaningfully ASDI down and punish. So even though the nair doesn't necessarily work out great at first, it's like you can still drift with it, space well, and then be in an advantageous position, right?
Right.
So again, you can see, okay, when does he force it? Well, it's like I'm at 0, he's at 64, I can kind of put this nair out, very hard to deal with, and he kills S2J.
Right.
So again, what does he do? He leverages full hop, uses platforms, moves out of threat range. When he doesn't have an advantage, instantly goes back to platform. When he has enough of an advantage, he's willing to force power shields and force fights. And just following those rules, you know, he was able to destroy S2J's first stock. Didn't even get hit.
Right.
So let's keep watching and see, you know, what he does. Okay, again, stays far away, uses platforms. I don't really like how he double jump, but, you know, not too big a deal still. Only eats a back air for it.
Sure.
Okay, so I like this. He doesn't just shield drop on top of S2J, right? He's aware of S2J's positioning and short hops, you know, at a more spaced area, right?
Right, right.
So they reset to neutral. How? Plup rolls away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice that?
No, I did not see
Aha! It's like, I don't want a piece of this fight. I'm just going to roll. And
Right.
for S2J to call that out, it's pretty risky, you know?
that. Right, definitely.
Of course, Plup could have just grabbed him, like I told you, but I'm not, you know, splitting hairs over it.
Right.
So what does he do after rolling away?
Goes to platform.
Yeah, immediately full hops. Why am I going to deal with this at all? Full hops. Don't forget, he has a full needle set from getting the kill. So by full hop needle charging, you're threatening the entire area in front of you. You can land on the platform, you can not land on the platform. You can go to top platform. You've got a lot of stuff to work with.
Right.
So what does Plup do? He thinks about what he's going to do, needle cancels, and then double jumps to the platform.
Right.
And then once he's on the platform, he doesn't just run off. He's waiting, you know?
Right.
And when he's dash dancing, what's he threatening?
A high laser? Oh, sorry.
Well, like, what option is he threatening in terms of, like, his option?
Wait. I don't understand.
Like, in terms of what Plup can do, what can he do here to threaten S2J if S2J, you know, tries to do something?
Yeah, I mean, he could either run down with an aerial or shield drop back with an aerial.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, he's threatening, I'd say run off fair is the most obvious one, right?
Right.
And then, of course, look what he ends up doing. He sees S2J wait, and then he uses that opportunity to get down in between the lasers, you see?
Right, right.
This is exactly what I was talking about. And then what does he attempt once he gets down?
Yeah, it goes for a power shield.
Yeah, it doesn't get it. But the funny thing is, he doesn't force it and go, oh, I'm going to get this power shield and force the fight. Because one, that's not reliable. Two, even if it was reliable, with this percent, you know, what's he going to get on Falco unless he gets a lucky grab, right?
Right, right.
So what does he do? He attempts power shield into full hop, right?
Right.
So do you see how this whole thing is Plup literally just following the flowchart I kind of outlined?
Yeah. I want to give some context to the match just because it's funny or interesting, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah, I actually had a set with. Sorry, actually, there's a lot of echo right now. Like I can hear my own voice.
I can try turning you down.
Sure. Yeah. So. Yeah. Sorry. I'll get over it. But basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can move my mic further and see if that helps.
Yeah, that seems better. But yeah, basically, I had played Brandon a while ago, and yeah, he started like getting this huge edge on me recently, and I tried to like rework the matchup a little bit, mainly watching Mewtwo King versus Zoo, which I think is probably one of the worst sets you could watch to practice this matchup. But there was so much resetting. Like, it seems like he kind of just extends a bad game plan. Well, I think, you know, Zoo is personally really laser heavy, right? So, like, he's going to give up more of those 50-50 mix-ups with dash attack or jump over lasers eventually. So Mewtwo King, like, you know, spends the beginning of his percent being safe, but also, like, establishing hill camp by, like, running up laser or running up try a power shield and then wave dash back, like, a million times. A lot of the times it looks like he's not even trying to power shield, like, he's just going to shield the laser.
Yep.
But yeah, he'll do that for a while, and then he'll eventually jump over something and like and fair it. It's just interesting because that's what I tried to do against Brandon, and it totally didn't work out at all. Because I think it just doesn't gain you anything really.
Yeah, it's not really a good strategy, but it can work.
Right.
I think there's a lot to be learned from Mewtwo King still, but the one thing I wouldn't learn from Mewtwo King is game plans. Mewtwo King's game plans are consistently some of the worst honestly, in all of Melee. But his ability to execute what he's doing and take advantage of small micro interactions and his execution and spacing are all very good.
Got it.
But does it make sense that his game plans are rarely good?
Wait, does it make sense that his?
Yeah, that his game plans aren't good, having thought about, like, you've seen him play Sheik Falco, Sheik Fox.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of all cheesy or gamble based. It's not really reliable stuff.
Right.
The stuff that is reliable is his spacing, his execution, his ability to call people out on mix-ups. And it's like, even if your strategy is not great, if you win the interactions, then it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So yeah, was there anything else you wanted to talk about, or should we go back to?
Oh yeah, we can go back.
Okay. Is the echo actually any better, or still no?
It's like slightly better. It's actually like, it's fine.
Okay. You can also turn me down potentially, and then I can just talk louder.
I already have my headphones on.
What do you mean? I'm saying like turn my volume down.
Yeah, I can give that a shot.
Yeah, because like if you turn my volume down, maybe the echo won't come through as loudly, but I can make sure to speak up.
Got it. I understand. Okay, yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. So anyway, yeah. So do you agree though that Plup has pretty much followed my flowchart?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's cool to see, right? He's not even. Do you see how like he's actually following it religiously though? Do you see what I mean? Like it's not even like he occasionally deviates. There's literally 0 deviation so far.
Right.
And I think that's extremely worth noting. So what does he do here? Attempt power shield, jump back, full hot needles. I think the video lags here. We don't know what happens, but it's unsurprising that we'll see that Plup got a hit after all of that, right?
Right.
Good situational awareness. So let's see what he does next time. Gets his needles, full hops, uses shield on platform, shield drops, and then what does he do immediately? He takes the center, right, and leverages the back air range,
right.
Which is what exactly we talked about.
Right.
He's going to run away immediately. Again, attempt power. As soon as he gets out of this interaction that doesn't go that well, instantly run away, attempt power shield, wave dash backwards, jump to platform, right?
Right.
Literally with like clockwork, not even considering anything else. It's like power shield, move back, use platform, leverage vertical. Instantly, he does a really cool trick here that no one else does, but the trick itself is not that important, where he does the needle cancel fall through. The important part is, again, full dash dance, full hop back to platform, thread and needles, right?
Right.
He does do something cool, but that's not even that important. It's like, look at all the stuff in between. And then finally, it's like he gets his needles, which I would say is the disruption he wants. And he's like, okay, I'm going to move forward. I can threaten power shield. I can threaten jumping over things. It's funny. It doesn't work out. What does he do? Roll backward. Right. He's playing this like textbook perfectly. I'm like, this set made me so happy to watch.
Right.
Again, leveraging, now that Falco's had some percent on him, stuff like weak nair becomes a lot stronger, harder for Falco to punish.
Right.
No. He read side B. Ooh, cool. Let's see how this finishes. Again, platforms, run away. Which aerial does he use? Back air.
Right.
Completely unsurprised. At this point, we should totally get the idea. And he's going to use the platforms, run away well, use his dash speed, use back air, run away, use back air. Use platforms, right? Run off. I actually like that he ran off the backside because, again, it creates the most space between him and Falco.
Right.
Thread needles,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. All some good stuff. Platform again. Now, he's dead, presumably.
Yep.
I forget the match is just over.
Sure.
Oh, I think STJ literally kills himself.
Right.
Like, he doesn't even try to play. So, how do you feel about it, having now discussed it, but also watching that?
Yeah, I'm literally just... Yeah, it's just completely different, right? Like, he decides to spend his time... His game plan's just 100% different. So, yeah, that's super helpful. It's
Cool.
I have a lot to work with.
Yeah. So if you go to the current lesson VOD, I linked a YouTube video. This is actually the Falco and pools that I told you about. And again, I think it very much highlights the game plan. And it also, what I really like that it highlights is that it also highlights the parts that I warned you about like what happens when you fight Falco up close the wrong way.
Right.
So it shows you both the good and the bad. I recommend watching it. It's a very short set. Should be a good reference. Otherwise, I think you can watch my VODs probably. I'm probably the other player that like showcases this the most. No other Sheik really plays with this game plan. I think there's still stuff to be learned from other Sheiks, don't get me wrong, but I think the game plan idea is something, again, really important, and most people do not have a good game plan.
Yeah, definitely. This is like...
Oh, go ahead. What's up?
Yeah, I mean, I've been like frustrated with Falco for a while recently, so I've been poking around with a bunch of different Sheiks, and it all feels so random.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Well, it is random unless you implement this type of thing.
Right.
Because otherwise, you're just gambling. Like I said, you're rolling the dice, and Falco's down air beats whatever you do. His back air beats whatever you do. That's just how it is.
It's just crazy to think, like, the other players that I'm watching are like, like KK, Shroomed, N2K, and like still, right? It's like...
Wait, what about them? I think you cut out for a second.
Oh, it's just like those are the players, those high-level players that like don't have...
Oh yeah, they have no clue how to fight Falco.
Right.
I think that's very common, though, that in Melee, the game plan is not always well developed. That's something Armada actually talks about a lot, because he got really mad at me when I said Peach is the most unoptimized top tier, which I still truly believe.
Sure.
But the reason he got mad is he said that even though Peach might not be technically optimized, he thinks her game plans are the most optimized, which is probably reasonable. And that's very obvious when Armada plays, because you can tell he has a well-developed game plan for every matchup that makes it hard for the other character.
Right.
And I think, again, you can be good without it, but having the structure certainly helps. I do think that kind of a quick and easy trick to being better at the Falco matchup, though, is learning all the micro interactions. And I think you're not very good at those, but if you learn them, it would probably be really helpful.
Yeah, could we like flesh out what you mean by that?
Yeah, just a lot of the on-shield situations are actually really important. Let me link you this Falco thread that I link like a couple times a month. I should just like have it as a pinned message in my Discord.
Sure.
So click that. It actually has a bunch of GIFs with people asking Cardano, like literally 10 years ago. It's people asking Cardano about Falco hitting people's shield.
Got it.
If you scroll through, you can see there's two relevant GIFs here. The fifth GIF down says non-stale nair can't be shield grab before your shine, blah blah blah. Tell me when you find it.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so that one shows the timing on nair that can't be shield grabbed if they are perfect. You'll notice that it's actually done right before Falco reaches the peak. It's actually still on the way up.
Yeah.
So that cannot be shield grab. Now, Dare is laggier than Nair, so were he to Dare at this exact same timing, it would be shield grabbable. And I think having this visualization is actually really, really, really useful, so that you have a good reference material for like when you're playing matches.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
Cool. And if you go to the next GIF down, it's my next favorite one. Wait, did I miss it actually? Oh, I think I missed it. It might be an earlier GIF. 1 second.
Sure.
Let me find this. Nope, not that one. Aha, yeah, it's 2 GIFs before that. And it says wave dash out of shield.
Yep.
Okay, that one is a very essential anti-shield pressure thing for Sheik. It's actually how I beat Zoo. The first time I played him with Sheik, I beat him probably almost exclusively because of this.
Got it.
So essentially, even when Falco shines your shield, if he does an instant aerial, you will still dodge it with your wave.
Got it.
So this is really useful because you can imagine someone, hits your shield and he's at like 50 or 60, and he does shine into instant aerial or delayed aerial even. It's even easier to punish. If you just wave dash out of shield immediately, and then he does any sort of aerial, you can dash attack or grab him. And it just completely reverses the match.
Right.
So I actually think these types of things are, when I was talking about micro interactions, being skilled at this type of stuff is very, very useful for Falcon.
Got it.
You can even be bad at every aspect of the matchup, but if every time he hits your shield, you get a nair out of shield or a grab or wave dash out of shield dash attack, think about how easy it would be to win if you didn't drop your punish.
Got it. I have one big question about nair out of shield.
Yeah, what's up?
And I could probably extrapolate from this, but I'm wondering, when does nair out of shield not work?
Okay, so it's all very timing dependent because so just raw frame wise, if he does shine into anything besides shine grab or double shine,
okay,
nair out of shield will trade or win. But the caveat to this is that requires you to be perfect. And realistically, you can't react to when he shines. It's kind of a read on when he'll shine. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If you wait to react to his shine, you will consistently act too late. But on the flip side, most people's shine timing is predictable because, if he does kind of a mid-height nair, if he doesn't shine on a certain frame, he will get shield grab for that nair.
Right.
So what kind of happens is that you get to leverage the fact that he wants to be perfect on his shine timing to not get grabbed, and then you can use that to predict better when to nair out of shield.
Right.
Or do other out of shield. Funnily enough, if Falco players would disrespect this and just delay their shines anyway, I think everyone would just get fucked. But
okay.
Falco players don't do that, luckily.
I feel it.
So yeah, nair out of shield trades with instant aerial from Falco. It beats down air, it trades with nair. If he tries to wave dash, it probably catches his wave dash startup if he's spaced too close. If he's spaced far, it'll dodge it. You'll beat slow shine grabs, you won't beat perfect shine grabs, and you'll beat double shines if you putting your shield down helps you dodge the shine.
Got it.
Make sense?
Yep.
Cool. Does that kind of answer everything?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So yeah, those are kind of the types of micro things I'm talking about. It just seems like you're not very fluid in and out of shield. And I think that's extremely important for Falco. Otherwise, it's like, and this is stuff like Mewtwo King, for example. I don't think he has amazing option choice out of shield, but he's very good at holding shield, rolling, and choosing good nair out of shield timing. And even just being good at that, you'll see he'll do that a lot, and then he'll spam F tilt a lot, and that by itself makes it very hard for most people to even beat him.
Right, right.
If you watch someone like Face Roll, for example, I think he's much more fluid at transitioning between all these options, and I think it makes him pretty good at fighting those Falcos.
Right.
It's kind of like execution testing them, where it's like, if you don't execute and space perfectly, I could just wave dash out of shield and grab you after everything. And then, if you tech chase, it's just kind of GG from there.
Right, right.
So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up?
Gosh. Okay, I kind of have this loose, it's not a very organized question, but I think I'm going tournament today and I'm playing Cactus, or there's a chance I'll run into Cactus.
Mm-hmm.
You have any experience playing with him?